Everybody, JC here. Today's video is something a little different and going to be pretty quick, but I recently purchased these new Arcade1up Fast and the Furious machines. I got two of them specifically so that you could race one another. I thought it would be a nice addition to the home arcade to have something like this, you know, like when you go into Dave & Buster's and, you know, you can have the side-by-side racing and stuff. So that's really what kind of attracted me to this. Now, this isn't going to be a full-on review of these machines. I just wanted to go over connecting the two machines together. So first of all, you're supposed to be able to connect the machines through your wireless Wi-Fi network. However, unfortunately, unless you have a really good Wi-Fi network set up or dedicated just to like something like this, you're probably going to have latency issues when you do that. For me specifically, like on this machine, machine number one, I could not see the car once you started to drive. You know, this car on machine number two on the screen would disappear. I could see on machine number two, I could see car number one from this machine on that screen, but not vice versa. So that was the biggest issue. And then also, when you would cross the finish line, even if car number one crossed the finish line first, it would say car number two was the winner. So I don't know why that is, but again, primarily latency issues. I believe it's 100 ms. If you go over that, you're going to have issues. And so the alternative to playing over your Wi-Fi network is essentially hardwiring the two machines together. Now, that's not as simple as you might think. You will have to buy additional equipment if you want to go that route, but that is, for most of us, I think, probably going to be the better route to go. And if you're going to buy two machines to race each other, which, you know, each machine costs at full retail costs about $600 each, so you're spending about $1,200. I would say, you know, even though, while I'm not going to sit here and say it's not kind of ridiculous that you have to spend extra money to be able to connect the two machines as advertised, I'm going to say that it's probably worth it. I spent about $60 in buying extra equipment, which what you're going to need is you're going to need a USB to Ethernet converter, because these machines do not have Ethernet ports. And the reason why that is, according to Arcade1up, is because when they were originally doing these machines, they had not planned to have the feature where you could connect them directly. And so all you have are USB ports on these machines. You know, inside the machine, on the back of the monitor, you know, like with all the Arcade1ups, you have that USB port. You know, that's the same port where if you were going to add lights to your coin doors, which are still not included on these machines, but if you want to install your own lights on the coin doors, you would generally get the lights and hook the lights into the USB port. If you want to do that now, I guess you'll have to get a USB splitter, but that's the USB port that we're talking about. So you have to get one of those converters, the USB to Ethernet converter for each machine, and then you also need, if you don't have them already, you'll need to get Ethernet cables, again, for each machine, because you cannot just take an Ethernet cable and plug it into this machine and then string it over to this machine and plug it in there, because it requires a hub of an Ethernet hub of some type, whether it's a wireless router or what have you. You have to plug both machines into an Ethernet hub. And I don't know I'm not an expert on these things, so I don't know exactly why that is. I think it's because you can actually have more than just two machines connected to each other. You can have 4, maybe even up to 6. I forget what the maximum number of machines you can connect and race, but you can have more than 2. And so I think because of that, they have to plug into a hub to kind of manage all that. But as it is, you're going to have to get some type of hub to connect into. And I went and got a $20 one, a Netgear wireless hub off of Amazon. And again, mine cost $20. You might be able to find something even cheaper than that, but you know, that was pretty cheap for me, so I went on and got that. Now here's where I had some confusion, because my internet modem is up on the second floor in the house. These machines are down in the basement. There was no way I was going to be able to string wires from my wireless router upstairs down here to these machines. But it turns out you don't need to have these machines hooked up to the internet in order to race each other. You just need the hub that's plugged into the wall, and then you plug in each machine into that hub. But the router itself does not actually have to be plugged into the internet. So if you want to be able to race each other while wired and still access the internet, I guess your hub would need to be connected to the internet in some way. But you don't actually need that in order to race. And that's where I've seen a lot of confusion. So that's really the point I wanted to make with this video, is you do need a hub. Even though I will say I've not actually tried just taking an Ethernet cable and plugging it into this machine and then stringing it over and plugging it in directly. But everything I've been told says that would not work. So I'm going to assume I wasn't lied to about that. But you do need everything says that you need some type of hub to plug into. But the hub itself, the wireless router, does not need to be connected to the internet. So if you're like me and your machines are nowhere near where your internet is hooked up, then you can still connect these machines and race each other without really any issues. So, all right, just a quick walkthrough here. Let me take you to. Okay, so this is the main menu. You have the two games. First, let me take you to the main menu screen with the options. Let me get out of this. So first thing you want to do here is, but you want to go over here to network type. So one thing I will note is at some point when you first get these machines, you will need to hook into your internet, because you're going to have to download an update from Arcade1up that's required for the more than one player racing. So at some point, if you do have, I assume most of us have Wi-Fi set up in our houses, and you can just tie into the Wi-Fi and download the update from Arcade1up. So this right now it's set to wired, but again, you can go to wireless and then connect into your Wi-Fi and make any downloads that you need, and then switch back over to wired. Now just hit automatic here. Now it's going to tell you here that it can't connect to the arcade server, because at this point these machines are no longer hooked into the internet. So that means you're not going to be able to access the online leaderboards or anything like that, which to me is not a big deal. But just note that once you switch over to wired, unless your hub that you're using is hooked into the internet, you will lose access to the internet here. So just hit OK. Not a big deal. And then we'll go back, get out of there. Now you want to make sure that this up here in the corner, it has this symbol which is for wired, and you want to make sure there's not like a red X. You want to make sure you've got this green square. If you see a red X, you'll need to go back into that menu I just showed you and refresh. But you want to make sure that on both machines, when you get to the screen, you see this up in the corner. Now if you're using Wi-Fi, it's going to have a Wi-Fi symbol up there. But again, if for some reason the two machine, if something, the two machines become disconnected, you'll see a red X here. So you want to make sure that's green, and then you'll go into the game that you want. We'll go into the main Fast and the Furious game. Shows you the controls. Okay, so now we're in the game, and at this point you just hit the start button, and I'm gonna look over here. I'm hitting the start button on machine number 1, and now you can see on machine number 2 it's giving you the option to join in as driver number 2. So you would hit start, then we'll go back over here to machine number 1, and you pick your course, and you choose whether you want automatic or manual. We'll go with automatic just to keep it simple. Then you select your car. I like the Mustang. And we'll go with the Nissan over here. I prefer red to yellow. Add some nitro. Okay, so now we're going into the game itself, and you can see you've got both cars, car number 1, car number 2, side by side. You start, I'm hitting the gas pedal, so you can see the car is now driving. I don't have 2 people here, so bear with me here. But you can see there's car number 1 over here. I just ran into some stuff. And then over here you can see car number 2 is now in front of me. So you can see that you can see each other on both screens. If I wasn't trying to steer with one hand and running into things, and I had 2 people here, we'd probably be driving side by side. But no glitches. You can see each other on each screen, and this is definitely a much funner way to play when you're racing each other. Wi-Fi, doing it over the Wi-Fi network just doesn't really seem to work very well. But again, you don't actually need the machines hooked into the internet in order to have the machines wired to each other so that you can do this. So you just need a hub though, 2 Ethernet cables, and then 2 USB to Ethernet converters. And you know, for me, I spent about $60 extra to be able to wire the 2 machines together. And you know, if you're going to spend $1,200 on these machines, the extra $60, while it is kind of ridiculous that you have to do that, have to spend that extra money for the extra equipment, I would say it's definitely worth spending that little bit extra money so that you can get really good 2-player racing out of these machines. Okay, so that's it for today. Again, not something I normally cover here, but I was just seeing a lot of confusion about this, and I just got these machines myself. I just want to get the word out that, you know, if you want to connect the 2 machines, you will need the hub, you'll need the Ethernet cables, you'll need the converters, but your hub does not necessarily need to be connected to the internet for this to work, which for me, you know, was definitely good because there was no way I was going to be able to connect a hub down here in the basement directly into the internet. So just wanted to let you guys know that. Now, feel free to share your own thoughts down in the comments section below about any of this. And if you're new to the channel, now I realize if you're specifically watching this video, you might be somebody who's only looking for videos about Arcade1up, which while you'll often see them featured behind me in my videos, it's not something I necessarily cover on a regular basis. But, you know, you might want to check the channel out, think about subscribing, hitting the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. But either way, hope everyone has a great and safe weekend, and until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News Message Boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.